Hi, I'm Lucinda Laughlin. Welcome to Auburn Community Television and this episode of Meet the Artist. Today our guest is Taylor Moriarty. Taylor works with clay and does these beautiful ceramics. Welcome, Taylor. I'm so glad that you could join us.
Thank you. It's really nice to be here.
Now you have a specific signature style. So let's talk a little bit how we got to this point in this absolutely gorgeous cream color ceramics.
Well, I have done pottery since I was 7 years old. I started in grade school and throwing on the wheel, and I'm very much a one-trick pony. I can throw on the wheel. Clay is a 3D medium, so I like to really work with texture, and I have developed a technique where I use wood stamps that are antique batiking stamps from East India, wood blocks for batiking fabric, because wood is the only thing that releases from clay.
So as we go through and look at each one of your pieces, we can talk about how you use those stamps, because you do in so many different ways. And I think the best way to start out with is mugs, glasses, and things you drink with.
Yeah.
So let's start out with, we have, looks like 4 here, and they are totally different styles. So we have a teacup, and I'm not going to try to mention what all these others, but let's just start out with, so you do this on a wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So you throw
I throw the basic form on the potter's wheel, and then just in the pottery world, embellish. I do stamps. I pull my handles so they aren't, rolled coils. You take a lump of wet clay over a bucket and you pull and pull and pull to get a nice smooth surface. And it's really important that the handle feels good.
Now you've done a lot of different things with your stamping here, and I understand as you do the stamping process that actually, instead of pushing it in, actually pushes it out.
Yeah, if you can look inside, you can see my actual fingerprints. So when you hold the stamp, you push against the stamp from the inside, and this originally was just a V-shaped cup. And then as I went and did the stamp, it gave it that little bit of curvature down towards the base.
And does that always end up happening when you're working and putting the stamps on something like this?
It does.
And so this would have been the same that was happening here?
And you can, if you look on the inside, you can see the fingerprints. So this was not quite as round as it is now. It pushed it out and changed the texture.
And this particular one has a lot of stamp work on it.
That was a really skinny.
I was going to say that must have started
before
out.
I started stamping it. So that's interesting.
Now I also love the work that you have done along the bases. Particularly, we can see it with these two. And could you tell us a little bit about how you go about doing that?
This is a ruffled foot, I call it. You start on the wheel and you just get a little round lump, cut it off, and then there's 3 stages of dryness in clay. There's wet, don't touch it. Then there's leather hard, work with it. And then there's bone dry, don't touch it. So you wait until it's leather hard and you just go around and pinch. And I also do a little spiral on the bottom to make it look like a flower. So it looks like petals and a little flower.
So otherwise, when you actually do cut it off, it's just going to be a smooth surface.
Yeah, just a not so smooth surface. Well. When you cut it off, it's usually a not so smooth surface.
And I noticed that the handle on this one, you've actually done some stamping on it as well. So so when you go through this, because you've explained how you pull it.
Yeah, you pull it and then you lay it flat to dry and come along with your stamp and then put it in position of the handle to dry a bit more so it firms up. And this one's got an interesting bottom. There's a tool in the pottery world called wiggle wire. It's a coil. And as you pull it off, you kind of wiggle back and forth and pull it towards you and you get a really nice texture on the bottom.
Of it. So when we look at your pieces, it's not only looking at what we're seeing right in front of us, it's even at the bottom of that.
The hardest part of pottery is trimming the bottom. Really. I mean, that's the unsung talent of great potters, is the bottom of the pot.
Wow. So let's go on then, because you also do plates, and what a variety of plates that you do. So let's start out with the 2 that we actually have on the table here, because they are really different styles. Again, are these things that you're using the wheel for. And throwing
Everything.
it.
Everything here is thrown on the potter's wheel.
So this shape that we have here, you've actually created the shape when you're on the wheel.
The basic form itself, I throw on the wheel, and then you can see it's got scallops, and I do that by going around and actually pinching. That is my thumbprint. And then I come back and stamp, and you can see on the bottom my fingerprint where it's shaped it. People love things with wavy edges in pottery. It's so funny. And then I actually, something I don't ever see is the piercing. I do a lot of piercing to give it a lacy effect.
Yes, and it does do that.
Yeah.
Now the stamp that you have inside here, these are stamps, the wooden stamps. And I understand that you have quite a collection of wooden stamps.
I do. I am a collector. I have hundreds. Birds, horses, animals, beautiful little patterns, and it's just a thing of mine. I love it.
Well, I can understand why
Yeah.
when you're able then to use them and make these beautiful pieces.
I do T-shirts for my kids too.
Oh, yeah, so multiple uses for them.
Yep.
Now this particular plate, or I guess it's a small bowl.
Plate bowl.
Okay, so
Saucer. We'll go with.
you've done also the piercing that you were talking about, but you also have done something here which is a
double rim.
A double rim.
And it's technically kind of difficult. I'm pretty impressed that I'm getting towards mastering it. You have it on the wheel, and you've got the rim, right? You have a nice flat rim. It's thicker, and you take your finger and press it down into the top of the rim, splitting it. And then you encourage the outer split down a little, so it's sticking straight out. So you'll have one up, one out, and then you go around and pinch it up. You just
Which
go
is
around
get
and
that
pinch it
effect.
up. And you can do, further apart for big loop, or really close together for tiny little loops. So, and that's a nice lacy look again.
While we're talking about this, I'm going to move these cups out of the way because you have a bigger version of this so we can actually see it a little bit better of how this process works and how it looks.
It's hard to work large in pottery because clay is, weighty.
Yes.
And you have to apply more pressure to the larger pieces. So this is when I'm glad that I practice yoga daily.
Yes, and you know what I absolutely love now that you've told me this? So if we look along the edge of this, again, you can see Taylor's thumbprints as she's worked on this. So a bit of you goes with each one of these pieces.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
wonder if I could get through security anywhere with that.
Possibly.
All right. So then the other thing that I would like to talk to you about is your picture work, because one of the things you were telling me is that you are trying to really master doing pictures.
Yes, I am.
So
I've got a crazy project going. I'm making 500 pictures.
I find that absolutely amazing. 500.
It's inspired by a series of ceramics books. They've got 500 pictures, 500 plates, and these thick books with gorgeous photographs of 500 pieces of work.
So how
from
many do you
500
have?
artists.
So how many you have?
I'm at about 398.
And are these sitting all around your house?
I give them away and sell them as soon as I make them.
Well, put me on the list.
Okay. So my goal is to master the form, to have spouts that pour perfectly. A lot of pictures will dribble down the side. You want it to cut the water off, and the way that you do that, I've discovered, is to have a real flat edge, so there's a sharp corner, and that corner cuts the flow of water. So I've found if you have 1 and 2 sharp edges, you have a dripless picture.
Well,
so I've mastered that, sort of.
So then you have some pictures that are kind of drippers, and those have gone to your family.
The first 100 dripped.
I'll take a drip.
Okay, yeah, they're good
Okay.
for.
So let's show some of these other pictures because you have such a variety of pictures here.
I like this. This is actually 2
Let's stick to
pieces
this one.
connected together. So basically, it's a tiny saucer turned upside down with a picture put on top of it.
Now, how did you marry them together?
It's a process called score and slip. You score it, you take your needle tool on the edge, and you make it really rough with your sharp needle tool. And then you take the other piece and you make it really rough with the needle tool. Then you make some slip, which is basically clay and water mixed together to make like a glue consistency. Put the glue on, stick it together, and it's never coming apart.
Wow, so I love this. So you've got that lace type of work along here. And then again, the uniqueness of the stamps that you've made. And look at even the uniqueness in the handles and looking at the comparison here.
Yeah.
So I can imagine if you're doing this many pictures, you get kind of bored with doing the pictures. So you have done, actually, we have so many of them here, but let's show the one that you're actually showing what a bored person does when they're doing.
At about 300,
Yes.
I started turning them into birds.
Yes.
I just couldn't make another picture. So the beak is the spout.
Okay.
You know, where you pull it back is a perfect spot for eyes. This little fellow has wings and a tail. And I did a whole series of these. Oh, tail. I did a whole series of these, and I call this series Chicken and Nest.
And this is absolutely perfect. Now it looks as though we have a different color here.
This is a different clay. I'm trying now, this is an older project, I'm trying now to work only in light tan beige clay, and I work almost exclusively in clear glaze because it really shows the texture and the stamps. Like you can see, this is just stamps. The tail is also stamps.
So again, now this is a different style of bowl that you've done here too, because this isn't as tailored, I guess, is what this one is.
It's you know, further apart. I pinched it further apart.
But this is actually a two-piece then.
Yeah, the two-piece set.
This is absolutely, I love this. So I can understand you
Yeah.
had to go and step it up a little bit. These are absolutely incredible.
I'm doing owls for Halloween.
You're doing
now.
owls. Now, I understand you have a new wooden press, is that
Yes, stamp, a wood block.
new wooden block, and I just hope that the camera can pick this up because this is really incredible.
It's beautiful. These, because there's so much texture on there, I envision people using it as a garlic zester to flavor the food that they serve on the plates and the salad bowls.
Yes, and it is absolutely beautiful, and I love the larger size too. And again, we see all of this beautiful work along these edges. Well, you know, we're just about out of time. And I just want to state that she is at the Placer Art Studio Tours, and she is at 39A, as she says, in Granite Bay. Why don't you tell the people how they can get in contact with you, just in case they want to see some of the others and also get ready for the studio tour.
Yeah, great. Well, I have a website. It's Tailor Made Ceramics, MAID, on Facebook. Please visit me there. I welcome your comments, posts, and again, I am on the Placer Art Tour. 39A in Granite Bay.
I want to thank Taylor so much for joining us today. I wish we could have had more time for your stuff. It is absolutely gorgeous. I also want to thank the viewers for tuning in. We certainly appreciate your viewership. Thank you for viewing us on Auburn Community Television, Channel 20 Wave. I also want to thank the support of the North Auburn artists. They are producing this program so that they can introduce local artists in our community. Who knows? Maybe you have an artist living just around the corner. Thanks for stopping by.